So hey there, welcome back. This is Ragnar Avery of Avery Amps. So again, we're going to continue our journey on exploring the amps that I build. In this case, we're going to take one that's a little interesting and not widely known about. This is the 1624 style circuit that was really popularized by one of the bands Led Zeppelin with Jimmy Page, and it has been around and it's now making a resurgence. So with this one, what I've done is it's got that same feel of having a normal channel with two tone knobs, or sorry, a tone knob and a volume, but then the other channel has got your classic kind of a sound from the 60s, which would be a tremolo and volume and tone. So we're at the Tone Lab here, sponsored by Traverse City Guitar with my good friend Tim, and we're going to take you through a little bit of the insides of this amp. This particular amp is an example of one of the combos we make at Avery Amps, and in this case it has two 12s. And what I've done is now I've actually tuned it not to be the same 12-inch speaker. One is a higher wattage speaker so it doesn't break up as much. The other one is a little lower wattage to allow for a little breakup. And it allows for a real nice in-between sound. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by what you see today. So Tim, you've gotten a chance to play this amp quite a bit, and so what are some of your insights about this amp when you look at the other lineup from Avery Amps?
I think the most unique thing about this is the 212s, and the reason I want to focus on that is, well, like you said, one's a lower watt, like a 25-watt speaker, and the other's a 60-watt speaker. So why do that? Well, one amp stays clean, one speaker stays clean, one speaker breaks up quicker. Right. Now the cool thing about that is it's like almost running two different channels at once into an amp, especially a tube amp that wants to break up on its own. But the most overlooked feature of one weaker speaker than the other is miking that for a live or recorded performance. Especially live at a festival outside or in a big room, you can mic the smaller speaker for that gritty breakup, and yet you can still hear the clean, big, robust tone of the higher watt speaker. Now with this amp right now, you can also, between the two channels, you can jump the channels. There's a bass input and a treble input on each. So you can jump bass to bass, bass to treble. There's so many different possibilities. And this amp absolutely loves pedal boards. It really loves pedal boards. Yeah, you can put a pedal board into that. I mean, it's fantastic. Wow. We're going to briefly run into just a little bit of reverb with this on this setting, and I'm using my Inesis guitar. It's called the HBE. It's just one humbucker set here. The only thing we're really using is a reverb pedal, and maybe we'll kick in a Mojo Mojo, but here is it with just the reverb pedal. Let's kick in that Mojo Mojo and see where we get. A real sweet tone no matter what you do. We can add some compression and some delay, and we just still get that real big sound. So whether you're playing jazz, country, blues, or rock, this amp just really performs and really shines in a live situation. And if it's something where I want to record this at a lower level, no problem. You can switch out the preamp tubes, make them a little bit weaker, or you can have rags put in different speakers. Maybe you want to go with two low wattage speakers so you can use the amp's natural breakup, and that's what Jimmy Page was really doing back then. Yes, that's true. Low wattage speakers and just cranking the daylights out of the amp. So
yeah, because at that time in the early days of these style amps, there weren't the gain pedals there are today. That's become quite a science, and so they had to rely on the amps.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Yes. So great. The other thing that I found on this amp is really interesting. It lends itself really to single coil as well, because there's this magic that was introduced in the 60s with people like Eric Clapton. They call it the woman tone, and that would be where you'd be in like positions 2 or 4 where you're blending the two of the pickups. And this is the first time I've seen an amp that I've built that it really responds to that position very uniquely. And for many players, that sound is a signature sound. And I would offer, again, what you're getting an opportunity here is you've got these vintage circuits, they're hand built, but you get the opportunity now for the player to customize and make it their own signature tone. That's really what we're about here at Avery Amps, you know.
1 amp at a time.
Yep, Avery Amps, great tone, 1 amp at a time. So Tim, why don't you take us out with a little something? I really was enjoying a little bit of that jazz zing we were getting there earlier.
Yeah, we'll darken that up a bit. Let's just see if we can do this.
Avery Amps, great tone, 1 at a time.